Imagine a peaceful California suburb where every street looks safe, every neighbor is familiar, and then, one sunny afternoon, an 8-year-old boy rides his bike and vanishes without a trace. No screams, no cries for help, just silence. What if I told you that more than a decade later, a simple discovery would shatter that quiet forever, revealing a secret so dark it would rewrite everything we thought we knew? Stay with me, because this story is just beginning, and it's one you won't want to miss. Ethan Parker was your typical 8-year-old boy, full of boundless energy and curiosity. He lived in the quaint neighborhood of Crestwood, California, a sleepy suburb where everyone knew each other, and kids played freely on the sidewalks. On a warm spring afternoon, Ethan hopped on his beloved bike, a bright red cruiser with his name etched on the frame, eager to explore his favorite routes. His mother called from the porch, reminding him to be home before dinner. He smiled and promised he would. But Ethan never made it back. When the sun dipped below the horizon that evening, panic gripped the community. His parents reported him missing, and neighbors formed search parties, combing the streets, the nearby woods, and even the creek. Yet, days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, with no sign of the boy or his bike. The local police investigation went cold, and the case quietly slipped into the files of unsolved mysteries, whispered about but never forgotten. What made Ethan's disappearance so haunting was its total lack of clues. There were no signs of struggle, no witnesses who saw anything suspicious, and no ransom notes. It was as if Ethan simply vanished into thin air. For years, the Parker family lived with the unbearable uncertainty, moving away but never forgetting the boy who disappeared riding a bike in their quiet suburb. The house on Maple Drive, where Ethan had lived, stood empty for a long time. Its windows boarded up, a silent monument to a community's pain. Then, 12 years later, everything changed. A young couple, unaware of the dark history, bought the old Parker house to renovate it into their dream home. As the demolition crew began work in the backyard, their jackhammer hit something hard beneath the earth. Curious, they unearthed an object wrapped in layers of dirt and rust. To their astonishment, it was Ethan's bike, the very same one that had vanished with the boy all those years ago. But the shock was far from over. Chains still clung to the bike frame, rusted but unbroken, and the name Ethan was still clearly engraved. Even more strangely, an unfamiliar device was embedded in the bike's frame, small, metallic, and blinking faintly. When investigators were called, technicians confirmed what no one expected. It was a high-tech tracking device, still active after all this time, sending signals to an unknown, undisclosed location. How was this possible? Why had no one found it before? And most chillingly, who had buried the bike, and why? As word of the discovery spread, a sense of unease settled over Crestwood once again. The mystery that had haunted the town for over a decade was waking up, and it was about to pull the community into a web far darker and more sinister than anyone could imagine. What if a device buried with a lost boy's bike could still be sending signals after 12 years? Signals that don't just reveal a location, but expose a hidden world operating right under the noses of a quiet American suburb? In this chapter, we follow the trail of the mysterious tracker, a trail that leads far beyond what anyone imagined, pulling investigators into a shadowy conspiracy that could change everything. The moment the high-tech tracking device was discovered, a team of federal agents and tech experts was called in. They immediately set to work decoding the faint signals still being emitted from the buried bike in the Parker backyard. The device, unlike anything standard law enforcement had encountered before, was advanced, far beyond typical GPS trackers. It sent encrypted bursts of data, hopping between satellites and cloaking its exact location. Days passed as the specialists struggled to decrypt the signals, trying every algorithm and piece of software they had. Then, finally, the breakthrough. The tracker's transmissions pointed to a remote industrial complex miles away from Crestwood, hidden behind towering fences and guarded gates. The coordinates placed it near an abandoned aerospace facility on the outskirts of the city, an eerie relic of Cold War paranoia and forgotten government projects. As investigators coordinated with local police to approach the site, residents of Crestwood felt the first stirrings of old fears. Some whispered that Ethan's disappearance was never a random kidnapping but part of something much bigger, something darker. Theories about secret experiments, government surveillance, and clandestine organizations soon swirled in hushed conversations, fueling the community's anxiety. Inside the sprawling compound, authorities found signs of recent activity, footprints, fresh tire tracks, and surveillance cameras hidden among the overgrown weeds. It was clear that someone was still using the facility, and the presence of the tracking device on Ethan's bike suggested a chilling possibility. The boy may have been part of a covert operation, monitored from the very beginning. Digging deeper, the investigators uncovered evidence of a secretive group known only as the Collective, a shadow organization rumored to operate beyond any official oversight. The Collective was believed to be involved in human experimentation, mind control research, and manipulation of political and social systems. Over the years, their activities had been whispered about but never proven, until now. What connected Ethan to the Collective? Why was his bike buried in his own backyard, equipped with a device that remained active for over a decade? And if the Collective had something to do with his disappearance, were there others like Ethan, lost and forgotten? The questions multiplied, and with them, the stakes. Federal agents expanded the investigation to other unsolved disappearances in the region, searching for patterns that might reveal a larger operation. Meanwhile, the media caught wind of the story, turning Crestwood's tragedy into a nationwide mystery, stirring public fear and fascination. For Ethan's parents, the discovery was both a bitter relief and a new nightmare. The possibility that their son might be alive, or at least monitored, was maddeningly close yet impossibly out of reach. They pleaded for answers, desperate for any clue to bring him home. But the investigation also put the Renovators, the couple who found the bike, and anyone associated with the case under scrutiny. Cryptic warnings arrived, anonymous calls, shadowy figures watching their homes, and unexplained threats intended to silence them. The line between uncovering the truth and endangering lives blurred. Whoever controlled the Collective would stop at nothing to keep their secrets buried. What secrets lurk behind the gates of a forgotten Cold War-era facility? When the investigators step inside, they find more than old machinery and dust. They uncover a chilling reality that challenges everything they believed about Ethan's disappearance. In this chapter, prepare to venture deep into the shadows, where trust is fragile, danger is real, and every discovery brings them closer to a terrifying truth. As the gates to the abandoned aerospace complex creaked open under the watchful eyes of federal agents, an eerie silence swallowed the overgrown grounds. Once a hub for classified experiments during a time of intense geopolitical tension, the facility now seemed like a ghost trapped in time. But beneath the rusting metal and cracked concrete lay secrets that had been carefully preserved and guarded. Inside, the team found evidence of recent activity that defied the building's apparent abandonment. Walls adorned with hastily scrawled codes, surveillance monitors still faintly flickering, and a makeshift lab cluttered with scientific equipment hinted at ongoing operations. Among the scattered files, a photo stood out, a picture of a young boy who looked strikingly like Ethan, connected to an experimental device strapped to his arm. The discovery sent shockwaves through the investigators. They were no longer dealing with a simple missing child case, but something far more sinister, covert human experimentation. It appeared Ethan was involved, willingly or not. In tests conducted by the Collective, the secret organization believed to be orchestrating these events from the shadows. But what kind of experiments? The files described research into neural implants, behavior modification, and advanced surveillance technology designed to control or track subjects with chilling precision. Some documents even suggested the goal was creating operatives who could be remotely monitored and directed, children turned into silent weapons. As the team delved deeper, it became clear Ethan's bike was more than a means of transport. It was a key part of the surveillance system, designed to blend technology with everyday objects to mask control over its targets. The bike's tracker was just one link in a vast network that spanned multiple states, and possibly, the globe. Yet the most unsettling revelation wasn't in the documents or devices, it was a recorded audio file found on a hidden drive. The faint, trembling voice of a child whispered pleas for freedom, memories of fear, and confusion about who was real and who was part of the experiment. It was Ethan's voice. The investigators realized that Ethan might still be alive, but trapped, his identity erased or controlled by the collective. This chilling thought raised new questions about how deep the conspiracy went and how many other children had suffered the same fate. Meanwhile, back in Crestwood, the couple who found the bike faced mounting pressure. They received anonymous threats warning them to drop the investigation. Strangers followed their every move, and strange glitches appeared in their home's security system. Fear crept into their lives, mirroring the terror that gripped the community. The psychological toll was immense. The line between paranoia and reality blurred. Was the collective watching them now? Were they next? Amidst this mounting danger, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A former insider who had escaped the collective years ago. Contacting the lead investigator anonymously, they promised critical information that could unravel the entire operation. But there was a catch: they could only meet in person, in a secret location, under strict conditions. The stakes were higher than ever, and the truth hung precariously on a knife's edge. When a mysterious insider offers to expose the truth behind Ethan's disappearance and the collective's sinister operations, hope surges, but so does the danger. In this chapter, a secret meeting in the dead of night unravels shocking secrets and forces impossible choices. Who can be trusted when every shadow hides a potential threat? The night air was heavy with tension as Agent Harper parked her unmarked car at a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The abandoned building was far from the gleaming federal offices she was used to, and the sense of danger was palpable. This was the meeting spot the insider, known only as M, had insisted upon, and there was no turning back now. Moments later, a figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in a worn jacket, face obscured by a hood. The insider's voice was low and cautious but filled with urgency. "You don't know how deep this goes," M warned. "Ethan's disappearance is only the surface. The collective has been running experiments for decades, using children as test subjects, controlling them with technology implanted in everyday objects." M revealed a trove of documents and videos, exposing the cold reality behind the conspiracy. Children were abducted or coerced, then subjected to neural programming designed to erase their identities and replace them with obedient agents. Ethan was among the earliest subjects, his bike and tracker part of a surveillance system that monitored their every move. The insider also disclosed chilling details about the collective's reach. Government officials, private corporations, even law enforcement officers were compromised. Attempts to expose them were met with intimidation, disinformation, and violence. The warnings the Renovators had received were no coincidence. The collective was watching, and they wanted to protect their secrets at any cost. Agent Harper pressed M for information on Ethan's current whereabouts. M confessed that Ethan might be alive but controlled, his personality suppressed beneath layers of programming. "If we want to save him," M said, "we need to dismantle the collective's network. But it won't be easy. They have eyes everywhere." As the meeting ended, the danger became immediate. Surveillance cameras tracked their every move, and an ominous black SUV appeared across the street. The warehouse was surrounded before they could leave. It was clear the collective was closing in. Meanwhile, Ethan's parents watched the unfolding investigation from afar, their emotions a tumult of hope and despair. The possibility their son was alive, even trapped in a nightmare, was agonizing. They prepared to fight alongside the agents, desperate for any chance to bring him home. Back in Crestwood, the couple who uncovered the bike found themselves at the center of a storm. They received a chilling visit, an unmarked envelope containing a single photograph, a close-up of their home, with a shadowy figure standing just beyond their porch light. The message was clear: stop digging, or face consequences. The psychological pressure was crushing. Fear whispered in every creak of the floorboards, every unexplained noise in the night. But they refused to back down. The truth had to come out, no matter the cost. After years of silence and shadows, the truth about Ethan's disappearance is finally within reach. But exposing the collective comes at a terrifying cost. One that will test loyalty, courage, and the very will to survive. In this final chapter, secrets unravel, alliances shatter, and a desperate battle unfolds. Will justice prevail, or will the darkness swallow them all? As dawn broke over Crestwood, Agent Harper and her team prepared for the operation that could finally end the collective's reign of terror. Armed with the insider's intelligence, they moved to infiltrate the heart of the secret network, an underground facility hidden beneath a corporate facade miles from the abandoned aerospace complex. Inside, the air was thick with sterile coldness and the hum of machines controlling more than just technology. It was here that Ethan and countless other children had been kept, programmed, watched, and manipulated. Harper's team navigated the labyrinth of corridors, uncovering rows of cryogenic pods and monitors displaying faces, children frozen in time, victims of cruel science. At the center of the facility, they found Ethan. Alive but disconnected, a shadow of the boy who once rode his bike freely through the neighborhood. The neural implants pulsed with energy, suppressing his memories and identity. Freeing Ethan became a race against time. But the collective's operatives were closing in, their own ruthless enforcers desperate to stop the breach. A fierce confrontation erupted in the sterile halls, echoing with the clash of wills and the fight for freedom. In the chaos, the Insider M revealed their true identity, a former scientist who had orchestrated some of the experiments but now sought redemption. Their knowledge was vital to disabling the neural controls, but the cost was high. M sacrificed themselves to buy time for the rescue, falling victim to the collective's merciless guards. Ethan's parents arrived just in time to witness their son's awakening. Slowly, flickers of recognition returned, and with tears and trembling hands, they embraced the boy who had been lost to darkness for so long. Outside, the world learned of the collective's existence as media outlets broadcast evidence seized from the facility. The conspiracy unraveled, powerful figures exposed, and a nationwide investigation launched. But the victory was bittersweet. Many children remained missing, their fates unknown. The scars left by the collective ran deep, physically, mentally, and socially. The community of Crestwood was forever changed, haunted by the shadows of the past but determined to heal. As for Ethan, the journey to reclaim his life was just beginning. Supported by his family and a team of specialists, he faced the difficult path of recovery, rediscovering his identity, coping with trauma, and finding hope in the light beyond the darkness. Ethan's story reminds us how fragile freedom can be, and how courage and truth can shine brightest in the darkest places. If this story moved you, if you believe in justice and hope, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss future stories that uncover the hidden truths around us. And remember, sometimes, the most ordinary places hide the deepest secrets. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and until next time, thank you for watching.